Hey guys, for this episode of Gamer Reality Check, I wanted to check out the Fallout universe, in which you explore the capital wasteland, and looting is a huge part of the game. Whether you're taking off a dead body, or you just find it, or if you find yourself a strong box, and you want to see what's inside of it. Now, in the Fallout universe, the way you do that is you use your bobby pin and a screwdriver, and you try to find a little sweet spot as you're picking the lock. And I wanted to explore that in our episode of Gamer Reality Check and see how well it holds up to reality. So, stay tuned and let's find out.
Alrighty, so here I have a see-through lock, basically meant for practice lock picking. And what you see here is you see a series of pins. Now this holds the locking mechanism from moving. And what the key does is you can see there's certain cutouts here. These cutouts manipulate the pins so that locking mechanism can turn, thus opening the lock. So when I insert my key, if you look at the pins, you'll see that they'll move. And then when they move out of the way, I can turn the locking mechanism and thus open up the lock. So when we're lock picking, we're ultimately trying to mimic this using a torque wrench, which I have here, which applies tension to the locking mechanism to, when you do move the pins, keep it open, as well as so you can ultimately move the locking mechanism. The second thing we use is a lock pick. This one's a rake, there's different versions, but I take the pick, I insert it where I'm applying tension, and that manipulates the pins, moves out of the way, and thus I can open up the lock. Now, let's take a look at how Fallout did it. Alright, so here I'm trying to mimic the Fallout technique. I have a lock box with a similar style lock, and I'm using a bent bobby pin and a screwdriver. So I'm using the screwdriver kind of as a tension wrench, so I'm basically putting pressure on the lock as I'm trying to manipulate the bent bobby pin to find the sweet spot as is shown in the game. I was at this for several minutes before I gave up, and I know this technique does not work. And the reason being is that there's nothing to manipulate the pins of the lock, which I'll show you in the next clip. Alright, so let's go back to our see-through lock. And I'm inserting the rake pick, and watch the pins. As I go up and down, watch the pins go up and down. And that's what we do when we lock pick. We're manipulating these pins to mimic the key. Now let's see what happens when we use the Fallout technique. So I have my bent bobby pin, I insert it into the lock, and I swivel it around to try and find that sweet spot. But watch the pins. There's no movement of the pins. It does nothing to manipulate the pins to allow the locking mechanism to turn. So ultimately this is a very ineffective technique. Although very fun in the video game, in reality it doesn't hold true to good practice. So using all we learned now, I have my lock box here with a very similar lock to the Fallout, and I am attempting to use the locks and the skills that we've just learned to see if it works in real life. Well, let's find out. Looks like I've defeated the lock, able to turn the locking mechanism, and I'm able to get the cap stash. It's all about the caps.
Alright guys, so I hope you found that video slightly entertaining, and maybe a little bit educational. In this episode of Gamer Reality Check, I think it's safe to say that the Fallout technique got gamer reality checked. Or reality checked. It was ineffective. Anyways, please like or subscribe to this channel. Leave comments of what you want to see next. I'm always looking for new ideas. Stay safe out there, guys. Hopefully this whole pandemic thing is going to be over soon.